Hi, everyone. It's Adam. Let's just get right into the podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast by Adam Rippon. I am Adam Rippon. I do suspect that you may have thought, hey, what the hell? Where is that 10th episode? When are you going to do another episode? It's been a few weeks. I know that I do have some explaining to do, and I will explain myself. I have no problem doing that in this public space, in this public forum. No problem. In fact, I'll do it right now, actually. So my explanation is this. I got what medical experts would call the flu. And I remember having gotten the flu one other time before, okay? And I'll tell you about that experience. The year was 2013, okay? That's the last time I got the flu. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I've never been this sick before. I just couldn't stay awake. I just slept for like days, right? Like I remember that. That was 2013. Well, time is a healer because I have not looked fondly upon that time in 2013 when I got the flu. In fact, I remember thinking, wow, I was so weak to get the flu. Like, why wasn't I stronger? Why wasn't my body creating the antibodies to defeat and ultimately destroy the flu from even entering sort of my vessel? And it took about, 12 years to get to where I am right now because the flu really did, I'll say, kick my ass to the point where I was down for the count. Really didn't know when I would be kind of making a triumphant return. But it took about 2 weeks for me to get better. But as you can hear and see, wow, what a 2 weeks it's been for me. It's good to be back. For the 10th episode, I know I'm treating the 10th episode like it's like my 100th episode and we're like number one in the ranks. When truly we couldn't be much lower in the ranks and it's just the 10th. But you got to start somewhere. And I'm proud to start here. There is also another reason of why I've been on sort of a sabbatical, because I've been thinking of like, what do I do? How do I address this? Do I wait? Do I whatever? You might be thinking, what the fuck are you even talking about? Well, let me tell you. So when I started this podcast, my goal was to do 5-10 episodes and just see if I could get into the rhythm of it. See if I liked doing a podcast on my own. And the answer is I do. And I have enjoyed putting this together, albeit it's definitely grown and evolved since the first episode, which if I listen back to it, does give me a headache with all of the sound effects. But we live and we learn. And sometimes we get a migraine too along the way. Sometimes that's how you have to find out that you're using too many video game sound effects. And the only way to find that out is to actually use them and hear the pinging of the bells over and over and over again, which is why the sound effects have been a bit silent up until this point. Now, let me just get back to what I'm talking about. So I said I wanted to do the 10 episodes, just see where we are. Well, now that this is the 10th episode, I feel like now is a good time. So in the past few weeks, I've been working and talking with Podcast One. And so we are moving. And the podcast is now going to have a new home at the Podcast One network. And I'm super excited. I think it's going to be great. I've been working on just sort of like polishing it up. Now it's like a real team. Now it's not just going to be me in this room having a complete and total mental breakdown for about an hour that I can edit and whittle down to about 40 minutes sometimes even 20, because sometimes it does get really sort of completely chaotic. Now, somebody will be there to keep me on track. Maybe we'll even start to bring people on, but it's growing. And this is a really great next step. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be great. This is exactly what I was hoping would be the next step, that, we would go somewhere. We would be something. And we're going to do it, guys. We're actually doing it. And so it might be a few weeks until we come out with another episode, which would be sort of like the 11th episode. And I would say, you know what, the first 10 episodes are sort of like a time capsule, right? It's the end of the beginning, right? That's sort of what it is. It's the end of the beginning. And it was a trial period that I was doing on myself that you guys joined with me. And I'm so grateful and I'm so honored that you were along for the ride of the first 10. And we'll always remember that. Not much to say, just reminiscing on the voicemails that we've had. I think we'll keep those. I think that's a favorite part of it. Not much is going to change. Cut to, everything sounds exactly the same. But that's part of the game. That's show business. That's the world we live in. Now, enough about the podcast and more about me having the flu. So the flu did drive me to a point that I have not been driven to since 2020. And that point is the point of getting onto my computer and opening up The Sims 4. Now, I haven't touched The Sims in 5 years. And I could tell because it would tell me your last login was like, I don't know, I don't remember what it said. I think it said September something 2020. I just want you to know, if you don't remember, 2020 was, I would say, a dark time, an uncertain time. How about that? An uncertain time where I felt, you know what I should do? I should simulate the life of something else at this point. And so that's what I did in 2020. And fast forward 5 years later, I'd have the flu, be down for the count for 2 weeks, and I'd think, you know what? It's time to simulate the life of someone and something else. Now, I don't know if you've ever played The Sims before, but it'll get you, because you'll go in there going, hey, I'll just play this for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and 8 hours will go by. And you'll go, my flu symptoms haven't gotten any better, and now my hands are cramped. And I'm also in the middle of trying to do university classes and balancing 5 different relationships with other Sims in front of them because I'm trying to get them all mad and jealous and to get into fistfights. And so, it was chaotic, and I was quite busy doing that. I was really busy. But I'd like to tell you about some of my Sims because I think it'll explain a lot of how I've been and the sort of state of mind I was in and I'm still there, the flu doesn't leave easy is what they say. That is what they say. So without further ado, let me tell you about my first Sim, whose name is Patsy Jupst. Now, I want you to know I did name them all myself. And, I don't think it's clever when you go in with your typical sort of Smith, Williams, Black, Robinson, White, like those last names. You got to go in with a bit of creativity. And I always like to hit them with a sort of German sounding-ish name with a twist, because that is sort of the Sim language to me, is German with a twist. And I don't really know how to explain it, but nothing would explain it better than me choosing and typing out, I want you to know, choosing the last name Jupst for my Sim, who she is a single woman. Young adult is the age that she was kind of created at. and her name is Patsy Jupst. Now, actually, before I start talking about Patsy, let me tell you about like my mentality every time I start like a new sim. I always try to start them off in an honest way where they make an honest living, they make honest money, and they are an honest person. And I really, really, really try to stick to that mentality of like, no, I'm going to play by the rules and we're going to live this life together. And, it always gets to me where I go, oh, God, we got to get out of this cheap apartment. We got to get out of this cheap apartment, but it's all Patsy could afford. It's all she could afford at the time. And obviously her aspiration is to be a pet owner and lover. So she's just in this tiny one-bedroom apartment with a cat and a dog who honestly hate each other. Like, they can't even be in the same room, and it's really tough. And it's not a really fun life because when the Sims aren't having fun, they need to do things that, like, bring their fun meter up. And Patsy really does enjoy to watch TV. She likes the comedies. She likes to watch a cooking network that brings her like skill up so that when she makes herself a side salad, her stove doesn't catch on fire, which has happened because her cooking skill was so low at one point. So she watches the cooking channel. She likes all that things. She likes all that things. Do you hear like my tone of voice now, the speech pattern I have? Also, if you've never heard of anyone describing their like Sims to you, I would say it also sounds like German with a twist, because I'm sure it makes absolute no sense to you, but I'm begging you on my hands and knees, please just follow along. It will be worth it. At least it'll be worth it to let me have this moment of explaining what I've done for like a week, because to me it was worth it. And I got to tell you, my husband doesn't care at all about them, which doesn't feel great to not be supported by your family. Sort of like Patsy Jupst, she wasn't supported by her family, which is why she is, just kind of out there on her own, adopting pets left and right. But I digress. So I have left out the part that Patsy is a renowned scientist. And when she goes to work, she does have a bad habit of using her freeze ray gun and freezing her coworkers, which they don't like. But, everyone has a vice. I want you to remember when I said that I like to start them with an honest living. And then somewhere along the lines, like I said, we got to get out of this tiny apartment. Our neighbor, we keep waking up in the middle of the night because our neighbor's having these wild parties. And it's unbecoming of a young woman to live across the hall from a family that's having parties constantly. And her neighbor across the street, which, listen, it's to each their own, but her neighbor across the street is pregnant. So I don't really know why they're having all of these parties when honestly she should be resting. But that was sort of my last straw when, her pregnant neighbor is up to the crack of dawn, such a noisy noise coming out of that apartment. But it's because it's, it was a cheap place. It was all we could afford. Until, yeah, you guessed it, I used a cheat code, Motherload. I needed 50,000 simoleons quick. I don't care how, I don't care where. I'm not going to ask any questions, just throw them in the bank. So I typed in that cheat code, which I said, Motherload. That throws 50,000 simoleons. But then I got so hungry with the power, I just kept hitting Motherload, enter, Motherload, enter, Motherload, enter. And before I knew it, I had 1 million simoleons in the bank, and I knew that we needed to just pack everything up and get the hell out of that apartment right away. And I grabbed her cell phone and I hit move household, and I didn't ask any questions. And we got in the car and we went, and we never looked back. And then I said to myself, we have to build a big house, a really big house for the dog and for the cat who do hate each other. I want you to remember that they absolutely fucking hate each other. Any chance they get into like a WWE fucking fist fight. That cat and the dog. It's awful. But whatever. We're rich. Who cares? Who absolutely cares? I care, which is why I tried to really make it work on the big house lot. But then I really get bored with the builds. You know, I wish that the houses were built already. I know that there's a way, but I don't want to. Okay, let me explain. There's a way to download like beautiful homes that other people who play The Sims have already made, and they like upload them into like a place, and you can download their creations and put them into your sim world. I don't want to kind of go down that track. You know, I don't want to trek that track because I know it is over for me. I know I'll be going through that catalog going, too big, too small, too expensive. Like, I know I'm going to be doing that for hours on end. I'd rather just sort of like, just, you know, bore myself out of The Sims for another 5 years, which I'm getting very close to doing. Very, very close. So, you know, I'm in the middle of building this huge house, like truly too big for Patsy and the two dogs. Well, I'm sorry, Patsy and the dog and her cat, whose names are sort of slipping my tongue, but it really doesn't matter. But, you know, I'm building this big house, and then before I know it, I see Patsy is so sad, and she's not moving from the kitchen. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. The cat ran away. And that's when I thought, you know what? You have so much, and that cat and dog were just fighting. I was really kind of fed up with her drama. So for the time being, I have sort of stepped away, and I went, you know what? She needs to kind of figure this out on her own. And I kind of, you know, I can't help her through this one. She's got to put her big girl pants on. I gave her the money. I helped her get out of there, and now she has to figure out the rest on her own, because otherwise she'll never learn. She'll never learn, and that cat has to come back on its own too. You can't chip a cat in The Sims, but they always do come back, I think. I've never had my Sims have pets. It seems like too much responsibility. I say, as in the real world, I have 2 dogs, and I know how much responsibility that takes. So why would I? My Sims aren't reliable. You know, they're not reliable unless you tell them exactly what to do. That's the other thing. Unless you're telling them exactly what to do, it's like complete, utter bullshit that they do. You know, you'll create a Sim and you'll go, I want them to be a pop star. And then all of a sudden they'll go, I'm actually not interested in music. Well, I'm actually not interested in what you want to do, Patsy. And I appease them every once in a while because she's like, I think I like science. And then I like bring her into the science field. And then she starts complaining and she's like, I don't like being around people. Well, so it's like, what do you want? You know, she sounds like a Gen Zer. Anyway, I'll tell you about another Sim. It's good. It's really fun for me. So just hear me out. This Sim, who I named Jonathan Bratson, because you got to give it a twist. You know, Jonathan isn't Jornathan. Jonathan Bratson. Now, I kind of did the random stuff when creating him because I just didn't have a lot of time to. I'm also like an impatient sort of Sim player because I'm not like, their eyes should be further in. They need a longer chin. It's just like, I don't have time for that. Like, I need them to apply to university, or I need them to sort of like get a job as a mascot. Like, we need to like get to it. And so I just sort of like let the Sim program take the reins on this next one. And I just didn't like that he was an alien. And when I say that, I don't mean that in the sense of like illegal alien. I mean that in the sense of like extraterrestrial. So like, unless he was like in a disguise, he did look green and had like glowing arms and legs. And I really wasn't into it because I am a Sims purist. I want it to be exactly like real life, how one day someone will just write motherload enter, and you're a millionaire. Like that is sort of like real life. Being an alien is not real life. And so I just lost interest in Jonathan. So he's in sort of like a one-bedroom trailer park situation. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. I actually don't remember where he is living right now. It doesn't really matter. So then I had to create a new sim and a new life. And that's when I created Donder Costello. Donder Costello is sort of my pride and joy because I think I nailed this one. And I think I did a really good job. And he was always so motivated to do everything, like he was motivated to go to the gym, which I like because sometimes I'm not. But Donder Costello. He was motivated to learn more about cooking. He had an interest in writing. He loved being around the other Sims. Like I said, I like to start them honest living. He was making an honest living. And when we needed to go to the gym, I wasn't buying a treadmill. We were just going to the gym, and we joined clubs. He joined like a gym club, and he loved it there. He loved it there so much. And I kind of was letting him do his own thing in the gym when he ran into this guy named Corey Nyhouse. Now, Corey seemed kind of cute and fun, and they just were hitting it off. And I went, okay, now it's time for Donder to make the move. I said, go flirt a little bit. Maybe tell a risque joke. And he did, and it's kind of going off flawlessly. And they are at the gym just chatting and talking, and finally Donder asks Corey on a date. He says yes right away. Now, they hit it off on this date, and I go, you know what? Donder's been so good, and he's being promoted in his athletic career so quickly that I think he deserves this. He deserves like a relationship, and I think it'll be fun because I can kind of let Donder do his own thing, because once they get into a relationship and they like move into the other house, you can control the other sim, who would be Corey Nyhouse. And I'm like, Corey seems nice, and they're never getting in a tiff. And the love relationship bar is going all the way up, and the relationship bar is going all the way up. It's just like, it just seems like it's like working. So they have an amazing date. It goes so well, you would not even believe it. And so Donder asks Corey to move in. He says yes. And I'm really excited until I learn Corey is sort of, God, he's like a stick in the mud. So they meet at the gym. I want you to know that. They meet at the gym. And so Donder pulls a few strings to get Corey into his gym club. Well, we get Corey into the gym club, and it's not maybe one or two meetups where Corey decides he doesn't like working out. Okay, then what were you doing at the gym in the first place, Corey? What were you doing there? Because I met you at the gym. It's not like I told you to go there. And I had to pull a few strings to get you into this club. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Now, the next thing was, Donder is so motivated on his own that I can kind of like let him go. But I said, I'm going to spend some time with Corey Nyhouse. We're going to get this train back on the tracks. We're going to pull it together because I haven't given up faith on Corey Nyhouse. Well, it was an uphill battle, because Corey doesn't want to work out, which is a passion of Donder's. So I'm like, how do we do this? Well, I'm thinking he can be career driven. So he's going to start a small business. So he starts a small business, and that's when I learned he doesn't like being around strangers. Of course. How are you supposed to greet your customers, Corey, when you don't like being around strangers? So he gets uneasy every 2 hours at his small business. Like, come on, get with it. And I think, you know what? He's trying his best, so I'm not going to be too tough on him. And I'm going to tell Corey to ask Donder out on a date. So I do. And they go out on a date. And like I said, Donder is my pride and joy. Right? Like, he's my pride and joy, my favorite sim that I have right now. And I loved Patsy Jupst. I really did, but she is in the thick of it right now. And I need her to kind of deal with her own stuff before I get back to helping her. So at this moment in time, it's Donder Costello or nothing. And I am only sort of mentoring Corey for the sake of Donder. Like I said, my favorite sim. And so I say, you know what, let's go out on a date. Corey asked Donder out. Donder loves it. They go out on a date. And Donder has sort of been flirting with this idea of getting more into like mischief, which is sort of a trait that they can have. And, you know, the game did ask me, do you want to accept that Donder likes mischief? I said, yeah, why not? He seems a bit mischievous. So let's accept it. Let's accept the reality that we're in, and then let's move forward from there. Because I think it's nice to have a vice. Like I said, Patsy Jupst, her vice was going into work and freezing all her coworkers. Like I said, they didn't love it. And so I think mischief could be a better vice. Now, it was my mistake because I should not have accepted the fact that Donder likes mischief. I never should have entertained the idea, but I did entertain the idea, and it's sort of my fault. Because what happened next did freak me out. I'll say it. It really did freak me out. What happened was he told a joke to Corey that he laughed himself to death from. Now, you might be wondering, what do you mean he laughed himself to death? Well, I mean that he laughed so hard that he keeled over, and then the Grim Reaper came into the karaoke bar that they were in and dragged that body out. Well, I'm panicking, obviously. So you can have the ghosts stay there. So I'm at this point thinking, how do we come back from this? Like, how do I get Donder to be back, not only in the workforce, but in the living realm? And so I figure out that I need to buy a new expansion pack, which is some romantic whatever or something. But basically, I need to buy this expansion pack. So now I'm investing into The Sims, which I did 5 years ago. And it's just sort of, here I am back again, spending money to the EA game franchise, whatever. I pay $10 because I need this wishing well from this sort of whatever. So to me, it's money well spent, okay? Because I get the wishing well, and I'm able to wish myself back alive. So Donder's back. That was a close one. And again, here we get to the sort of honest living, because I go, you know what, to celebrate, like, you only live once, and sometimes in The Sims you only live twice. I say, you know what, let's just pretend that they win the lottery, Donder and Corey. And so I go motherload enter. 50,000 simoleons kind of pop into the bank account. Motherload enter, we're at 100. Motherload enter 150. Motherload enter 200. And I just kind of kept going and going and going. $2.5 million later, I go, let's get the hell out of this small shanty. Because at this point, Corey was trying to sort of run this small business out of the home, which really wasn't kind of working out. But he also did buy a nice little area of where the small business could be. He's terrible with decorating. The place really looks awful. So I said, I'm going to build a huge home that's half a house, half a small business. And that's kind of where I left them, because I, like I said, don't really love the builds. And I get bored so quickly. And, you know, I just have expensive taste. I just kind of look for the most expensive thing. Like, I don't have good taste on The Sims, just expensive taste. Where I go, it's 12,000, get it. It could be the ugliest thing in the world. I just, like, don't care. But that's why I can't have the money. Like, that's why I should never do the cheat. But, you know, you live and you learn, as I've said on this podcast, even in this episode. In the 10th episode, can you believe it? I can't believe it. Now, enough about The Sims, but in this sabbatical, I've missed a few things, and I'll touch lightly on the things that I remember. One of the things I remember was that we shot, not we, Jeff Bezos shot Katy Perry and a group of women into space. And I know a lot of people have had a lot to say. I think that the criticism that the ladies are facing is pretty warranted, right? Except for Gayle King, because to me, there is no amount of money that I wouldn't spend to see Gayle King get shot into space. I don't know why, but to me, it just is like, yeah, you can't put a price tag on the amount of absolute unbridled joy that makes me feel. Katy Perry, on the other hand, yeah, I'm like, no, she should stay earthbound. But Gayle King, I'm like, no, let her go up there. Like, she should go. She like didn't want to go in the first place. So it's like, that's why she should go. Like, the semantics of it all, for me to just send Gayle King into space, like, it makes sense. And that, I'm just sort of like, it's worth it. I'm good with that. Like, I'm totally fine with like $10 million sending Gayle King to, the atmosphere. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that once a year, once a month. We should do it once a month. It takes 11 minutes. I think we should send Gayle King to space once a month. Whatever. There's so much going on right now politically that I think it could be the one thing that unites us is that, get the other women out of there. Katy Perry does not need to be promoting her album and tour. Like, that was crazy to me. But Gayle King, it's just like, it's crazy to me, but in the way where I'm like, sorry, like yeah, like the earth is burning and Gayle is in space. Like that, I'm okay with it. And I, like I said, I can't explain it. And I don't want to, and I won't. But I'm just like completely fine with the idea of like no one else, like literally no one else except Gayle King am I okay with. The other thing I'm like not okay with, and I think that like we should be able to send Gayle King up there and just be like, that's, you host the morning show on CBS and you go to space once a month. Like that should sort of like, we should just really kind of think about that and hear me out. Just like think about it. I think it's like not a horrible idea. But we should never call her an astronaut. I do feel like being an astronaut takes a lot of work, which I'm not saying she's not willing to do, but I think that like a real, and I say like in quotes, astronaut has done more to like prepare for the mission than maybe a Gayle King has done. Now, I don't want that to deter from the idea that I'm sort of pitching that we do send her once a month. Like I like that idea. Another thing I say is I would never, ever want to go to space. I have like no desire, absolutely 0.000% desire to go into space, to be on sort of like a space shuttle or craft. I want nothing to do with it. And that is my official stance on going to space. Like it's not for me, it's like for other people like Gayle. It's for her, for sure. It's for her. I see it happening. And if you YouTube it, you can watch it happening, but I see it happening more. I think we should think about it, everybody. I think we should think about sending Gayle King to space once a month. 12 times a year. Come on. Now, it'll be interesting to hear what this podcast sounds like with a team, with a producer. Will you get sort of 25 unfiltered minutes about The Sims? Maybe. But maybe they'll try to kind of put a gag order on that. Shut me up. I don't know. I won't let it happen. I want you to know that. But it will be nice to have someone keep me on track. Because sometimes I'll say this. I'm going to say something. I'm going to reveal something that is true. Sometimes when I am talking about something, I will forget what I'm talking about. But I've already backed myself into a corner, so I have to sort of finish the thought. And sometimes I get back to the original point, but other times, no. It's like I have truly lost the plot. And maybe you've noticed that. Maybe you haven't. But now I want you to listen for it. Okay? Just listen for it. because it is the truth. It is the truth about what happens. And with that being said, I think that we should get into the voicemails. Now, these are going to be the voicemails of the last episode of the first 10 episodes. See, this is sort of like I'm losing track of what I was saying. This is the... Hold on, I'll get there. I'm not going to edit this out, by the way, because I want you to hear like why I need somebody in the room. Okay. These voicemails are going to be the voicemails of the last episode that I'm doing right now, that I'm producing myself and editing myself. And like, again, like I want you to know that now I'm saying I said that. Why did I even say that? It doesn't matter. Basically what I'm saying is we're going to do the voicemails.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Yes, good morning. My name's Omar, and I am here in front of the office. So I'd like to find out the open time. Thank you very much.
Hey, Omar. I think that you have the wrong number. Yeah. Because this is the sort of Google Voice account of the podcast by Adam Rippon. We don't really have an opening time. And we don't really have an office. But pretty soon we will have a home on Podcast One, Omar. You should check it out. Now, that all being said, I really can't help you. And I hope you weren't sitting outside of whatever office you were for too long. Kind of at this point, about 100% sure that you called the wrong number. But welcome. You're welcome. Everyone's welcome here. And I do hope that you were kind of able to amend the situation. And I'm feeling like you did, because you didn't call again. And I think that's a good sign. But anyway, all the best, Omar. I hope that the business and office that you were in front of did, in fact, open.
Please leave your message after the tone.
I just wanted to call in and ask you, what is your take on adults who love Disney, specifically going to Disney World, Disneyland? They have their hats, their full gear, they are posting to social media, they're eating the best noodles from Japan, they're authentic. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing just crowds spending a lot of money. When they say that about the food, I think, is it that good? The price that you paid to go on this trip, you probably could have gone to Japan to get the food itself. I'll just say I'm open to changing my mind. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm just being a hater and I'm missing out.
Okay. I think that you are being a hater, but I think that, like, I get it. And I hear where you're coming from, where it's like you're going for the, in quotes again, authentic experience of going to Japan, when really you're in Florida. You could have just gone to Japan because you just dropped $10K, you know. All of this being said, I've gone to Disneyland one time. I live in California, and I've lived in California for like 12 or 13 years now. And so I've only been once, because I just like don't like the idea of like waiting in line. And Disney adults they scare me. But I think that they have something that we don't. And I'm going to tell you what it is. I think they have hope, right? And we don't have any hope. Because for those people, a pair of ears and a bunch of ground turkey meat kind of smashed together onto a turkey bone to make it look like a turkey leg, that gives them hope for a better tomorrow, for a better today. Hugging a princess, hugging a cast member, that gives them hope. But for me, it doesn't. You know, it sends a chill down my spine. Makes me want to shed a tear. But I think that they have it right and we have it wrong. You know, so I get where you're coming from. You know, a pirate's life is not the life for me. And that goes for Pirates of the Caribbean. and it goes for going to Disneyland. All this being said, I heard that there is like this VIP experience that you can buy. Now I'm getting into like, yeah, I kind of love it. But wait, hear me out. Now, the VIP experience, now this is what I heard. I heard it's like $10,000, but you can bring up to like 10 or 12 people, and like it's a whole VIP like day experience where it's like you're the first ones in line. Like I've never done this. I just heard about it, right? Because I'm not a Disney adult, but like I do love watching the TikToks that come up on my For You page of like Disney lore of like, you'll never know at Disney Club 33 what happened here. It's like, you're right, I'll never know. And I hope I never find out. But the VIP experience. Now, if you think about it, you know, $10,000, that's like crazy. But if it's 10 people, I mean, I have no idea how expensive it is to get into Disney. And this also like supposedly includes like all the meals and everything. But for 10 people, for not waiting in any lines or like whatever, $1,000, which again, like I want you to know is, I do think, a crazy amount of money. But it's like, if you're going to do it, do it. And for what it costs already, I don't think that it's like insane. So if it's true, I would do that. I think it's the lines, right? The lines, the crowds of people. One thing you'll absolutely see at a Disneyland or Disney World is a knee brace. And that's guaranteed. I do not know what it is in the air or in the water or in those turkey legs. Like, I don't know what's in the turkey legs, but whatever it is, it's destroying the ligaments of the knees of the people who are going into those parks, because you'll absolutely see people wearing a headband of Mickey Mouse ears or Minnie Mouse ears. And then your eyes will go down. You'll go, oh my God, both of their knees need braces. Like, did they just have knee surgery? Everyone is in a brace, an elbow brace, a knee brace, ankle brace. There's something that's really taking, I don't know, a toll on these people's bodies, because they're not entering this park in tip-top shape. You know, they're entering already injured. I just think you should think about that before you get too into the Disney of it all. Just remember, being a Disney adult is a fast track to needing, you know, knee surgery or ankle surgery or a cast. Lots of casts in the Disney sort of world. You know, I just think, you know, put two and two together before you get too invested.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey, Adam, this is Missy. I'm at Coachella right now, just sitting in the shade. I'm wondering, who are your favorite artists to listen to? Because I know that you go ice skating, and if you had to pick a song from your favorite songs of right now, who would you pick to ice skate to at the Olympics?
Wait, ask about Ice Princess.
And also, what about Ice Princess, the Disney movie? What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll start with my thoughts on Ice Princess. R.I.P. Michelle Trachtenberg. It's a classic movie. Such a good movie. Makes me so sad. You know, I loved Michelle Trachtenberg. Harriet the Spy really made me want to have a notebook. I remember that, like, I would look for clues. I actually don't remember any of it. I just kind of like remembered that one part, and I wanted a trench coat. That's it. But yeah, rest in peace, Michelle Trachtenberg. Now, back to Coachella. I actually have more questions for you than you have for me, because I did start this episode out saying that I was, you know, out. I was laying down, sleeping for days on end. I was cracking open The Sims, which I hadn't done in 5 years because I had the flu. But I think I'd rather have the flu than camp at Coachella. There's absolutely no world in which I live in that I feel like I would want to do that. And, you know, I was really shit-talking one of my Sims who, like, doesn't like being around a lot of strangers. But when I see sort of a completely full venue, from stage to like 3 miles back into the parking lot, nothing makes me want to not be there than seeing something like that. And I think I am being like a hater because I think it would be amazing. I'm sure it's amazing. But when you kind of like add the extra bits and pieces of it, of like you have to stay in a tent, or like it's dusty, or like it can be really hot, you're like losing me. Because I know a lot of people, when they stay at Coachella, I know there's like a VIP experience of people like rent houses and, you know, all of that stuff. And like having an artist pass or like whatever. I've obviously never been, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. And my only experience is through watching like the TikToks of other people going. And of course, I've, like a true fucking idiot, have made my completely firm opinion based on like videos and opinions of other people, like a true American. And yeah, I want nothing to do with it. But it does, I mean, like, I think it would be amazing, but I would only do it if I could be like sort of like dropped in and truly like everybody out of the way, the helicopters coming down to pick me up, like get out of the way. They grab me and they bring me right back to my front door. That's kind of the only way I'll do it. Like, I'm not even like the VIP experience. It would not be good enough. Because I just, oof. Yeah, I don't, it's just like, it's not for me. Like, I have a question for you. Did you have to wait in line to use the showers? I'm not about that life. You know, I'm not about that life anymore. Because I've done a ton of like sport camps. Because as you said, you know that I do go ice skating, which I do. So I've done a lot of like camps where it's like, you know, there are communal showers that you have to like wait in line for. Like I've done my time, right? So I don't want to do more time, like waiting to take a shower in a hot box. I don't want to do that. You know, I don't want to go, oh, I forgot my towel. I saw a TikTok of some girl being like, I took a shower and you'd know that I forgot my towel. And I'm like, I wouldn't know that if you didn't share that with me. And I never need to know it. So please don't share it with me ever again. All that being said, what would I skate to now? God, I would love to skate to the Coachella set of Lady Gaga. It's incredible. Loved it. I think that's probably... There is something about this new Lady Gaga album that I have not felt in so long. Like, this is the album I've been waiting for. I love it from start to finish. I love it from start to finish. I'd find a way to do a free program medley of all of the songs. And I do have favorites. Obviously, I love like Abracadabra and I love Disease, but I love Zombie Boy. I think that one's so good. So fun. But yeah, that's what I would skate to now. You know, with that being said, I want to say to everybody who's been a listener for the last 10 episodes, or even if you're just a new listener, welcome. Things are about to get really big. We're about to take over the internet. We're about to break it. With the help of Podcast One, they're going to do that with us. They've actually promised that we would be chart topping. And I said, you better not be lying. They never said that. But we will be. We'll be on those charts, topping them. Soon enough. But that will also, you know, it will mean that the podcast is more consistent. You know, there'll be like episodes in the bank for if I ever do get the flu, which hopefully, God willing, I've built up the strength to never get the flu, at least for another 12 years. But all that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in a few weeks. I'll keep you all completely updated on what's happening next. But just know that we're just assembling the troops. We're getting everything together for our big move. And I think it's going to be great. But in the meantime, this has been the podcast by Adam Rippon. I am Adam Rippon. I've been Adam Rippon the whole damn time. Give this podcast a 5-star review. Just do it. Try it out. See how you like it. Give us a 5-star review. And also, you can call and leave a voicemail still, because it would be great to have some nice, good old fresh voicemails for when we make our triumphant return on the Podcast One network. We're moving. We're really doing it, you guys. We're really doing it. But you can call us and leave a voicemail for the brand new, updated podcast. Like I said, let's make it through 10 episodes. We did it. And this is the reward that we get. We get a family. That's the reward. But yes, you can call us at 310-909-7117. And that is the number of the podcast. It is not the number of an office or a building. So if your name is Omar and you're calling that number, it's for the podcast. Also, I do want to remind Omar that, the voicemail does start. If you've ever called in, you'd know. Hi, this is Adam Rippon. So I don't really know where he kind of got lost leaving that voicemail. But it does start off. It doesn't go like, leave a message. It does start out of, hey, this is Adam Rippon. Leave a voicemail. But it is good to know that he didn't listen to that at all. So if he's not listening to the opening of the voicemail, guarantee he's not listening to this show. But, all the best to everyone out there, including Omar, who's not a listener. Maybe yet. Maybe he will be. Hopefully. It'd be great. It'd be great to get Omar on here, maybe as the first guest. Now, that being said, I will see you guys next time. We're just getting all our ducks in order, but it is coming back. We're not going away, And that being said, I'm healthier than ever. And the next time I see you will be a Podcast One podcast. And so until next time, love you guys. I will see you here on the podcast.